All right, all
I
right.
just text Tyler and he says, yeah, I'm trying, but I'm computer illiterate. That's what he's saying.
Hey, tell him if Larry got on, anybody can get on.
Roderick says
If I can get
Larry
on, you can get on.
Anybody can get on.
All right, how about Billy? Who'd we lose?
Larry.
Uh-oh. Oh, here.
We spoke too soon.
Yeah,
There's Tyler's iPad.
I see that. Really?
There's Larry's back.
Billy, can you shake your head if you can hear me?
Yeah.
All right. And there is a phone number to call in too on that email.
I didn't have to.
No. You should be able to use
Actually, my brother came in here and did it for me. I just sat down.
Oh. Larry, I don't hear you, Larry. Yeah. Billy, can you? Billy, almost.
I get my picture on there. Hey, bud.
Oh, I see.
I hear
Still
Tyler.
working on it.
I heard his voice.
I heard his voice.
Lindsay's trying to fix it.
Why do all you guys need help? Oh,
My brother did mine.
Oh, I think I see Billy. I think I see Billy.
There's Tyler.
Hey, Tyler.
Tyler. All right, buddy. All right,
Hey, guys.
All right, you're almost. All right, Larry. Larry went away. Who knows what happened to Larry? But Billy's trying. I don't know if Billy can hear me.
There we go.
There you go.
There he is.
Leave it to the wives to fix it.
Dude,
Right.
did you like my sticky notes? You were making it, man. Just paddle faster. Just keep paddling.
I know Tyler didn't do it. Lindsay did it for him.
Lindsay did the whole thing.
I just sat here and said, surely my mug will show up on this thing sooner or later.
Oh, and a good mug it is, man. Good for you.
I had to
Not
call
sure
my
what
brother
happened
in
to
here to
Larry.
do it for me.
Poor Larry. You know, he was trying to mess with his audio, so he'll make it. Oh, well, man. All right, at least there's Larry. Larry's
He's got a helper now.
He's got.
Oh, and he's gone.
And he's gone.
He's back.
Oh. Larry, you're talking to yourself. I need. What, did he just blow a kiss?
Yeah, he's blowing kisses.
Oh, come on, Larry. All right. He's got to have somebody helping him there. Larry, in the lower left-hand corner is the mute button. So a little triangle and see if you can add your audio in the lower left-hand corner. Oh. Well, man, Myrick and Billy and Tyler, we sent this out to about 12 people. We sent it out to the other Billy and Jay and Gary Ballou and Reese, and I sort of forgot. I tried to get as many people on here as I could. Only the strong survived, so that would be like at least the three of you. And this was Lee's idea, so Lee's like, man, let's get a video going and let's do something. And I'm like, just do a one-on-one interview so we can put it on Facebook. I'm like, screw that. Let's get everybody and see what could possibly go wrong, So,
Absolutely.
yeah. So, all right, Myrick, let's start off with you, man. Let's just sort of talk about, this craziness going on. What's your shop like, or what's it like out there? Or...
Shop's pretty normal. We're limiting anybody coming into the shop. It's funny. As I was walking in here, there's a customer standing outside, waiting for his boat, and normally he'd be in here, but that's about it. Just trying to keep our 6 foot of distance away from everybody and try to keep everybody healthy.
Right.
It feels really weird to be worried about going to the grocery store and things like that. It's a weird feeling, but just trying to get through it.
what's your grocery stores like, and what's all that like? And for you guys, in the upper right-hand corner, it says either speaker view or gallery view, and you can click on gallery view, and it shows all 6 of us if y'all don't see all 6 of us at once. It's in the upper right-hand corner. So, so that way you get all 6 people once when they're talking, and then the little green box goes around on who's got the mic, so to speak. So what are your grocery stores like, Myrick? Normal?
Well, other than the fact that there are not very many people there. So, and there's some of them like Deerbergs and stuff that they have big, basically cubicles that their cashiers are in and things like that. You know, they're really trying hard.
Right.
Basically have somebody in every aisle wiping things down as you touch it. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's wild. I had to have an intervention with the kids at the house the other night.
Did that work?
So far, I had to threaten them pretty good so mom can chill out.
Yeah. Mine are sort of the same. I mean, you know, two in college are back, and, you know, the one's a sophomore, and, you know, they just want to go like wildfire and just be gone, you know. And, you know, fortunately, they are only going to the exact same house to see their same one friend, and they're not, others are not coming in, which is, you know, good, but it's bizarre. So, Billy, how you doing, man?
Good, how are you?
Good. Tell me what's going on out where you're at.
About the same as everybody. You know, our business hasn't changed a whole lot. The dump drivers are in the truck by themselves. The roll-off drivers are in the trucks by themselves. And then the lawn care stuff, we kind of just split it up to 1 or 2 man teams and kind of go do your thing, you know? So,
is everyone acting crazy, or do you feel like you're a little bit in the Midwest, so you're a little bit different?
no, it's the same as everybody. I mean, I just got back from those arts just last night, and I think it's about the same up here as it is down there. You know, everybody's kind of using their head and keeping their distance and doing the things that our parents told us to do a long time ago: wash your hands and keep the germs away.
Right. Yeah, I could tell you I've washed my hands more in the last 3 weeks than the last 3 years. I'm sure. It's probably not something good to admit, but Tyler, how about you, man? What's it like where you're at, and with family, friends, business, everything?
Yeah, you know, business is carrying on. We were listed as the essential business, so that helped keep guys moving. We've got a few government projects that are still going full speed ahead right now. But I think the time is coming when that'll start to slow down a little bit. The girls in the office have been doing their part. They've been Lysoling trucks 2 or 3 times a day and wiping doorknobs down, you know, going through all the conference room and stuff and making sure everything's cleaned up 3 or 4 times a day. So
Right.
The guys overall are doing pretty good for the most part. We've been stay at home order for about the past 2.5, 3 weeks here in Kansas. So the kids are going on 3.5, 4 weeks. They're getting a little rambunctious. Oldest daughter, she's a senior in high school, so she's going to miss out on graduation and prom and all those things.
Gotta suck.
Kind of, yeah. She was pretty upset for a few days, but then, you know, once we've been updating our kids every night when we get home about, you know, what's going on in the world and how much worse it could be. So that's kind of helped them come to grips with it. It's not so bad here right now.
Right.
You know, I definitely see us in the Midwest. We hope that we can keep the numbers down, but at the same time, you know, we're sure it's coming for sure. We live close enough to Kansas City and St. Joe, which are heavily populated areas that, you know, it's probably on its way.
Right. Man, it's just bad. I mean, here in Charlotte, you know, we're on day 10 of a statewide shelter in place. We're, I don't know, a couple more days for Charlotte, you know, shelter in place. And local grocery stores by me, a couple of them out of toilet paper, out of all the meat on the walls, everything, you know, the main counter where you slice the deli, it's got stuff, but everything in all the fridges all the way down are gone. But now it's sort of come back a little bit. And then a couple flagship stores, you know, about 2 miles up the road, they're getting first deliveries. We have Harris Teeter or Publix. So if you're a flagship Harris Teeter, you get everything. If you're just another Harris Teeter, which looks just like the same as the flagship, you're 4th on the list. So, you know, those stores are definitely struggling. But man, I can drive through the intersection of my 6-lane road right here. I can drive through a red light and not get hit, you know, and it would take me 3 turns, 3 stoplights to make it through, you know, previously. So, you know, my kids are also trying to, you know, do the best they can, but they're not getting it, you know. And I said, hey, watch this kid on the Clearwater News that said, I'm partying here, I don't care about anything. You know, I mean, unfortunately, you know, if you can get it through their head, you know, then that's what it's going to be like. So, all right, Lee, what about you up in Jersey? What's it like up there for you?
Well, New Jersey, you know, it's the most densely populated state, so we inherently have a problem. We're the second highest in the U.S. with a number of cases. For the most part, people are abiding by the lockdown. I still see too many people at the dog park and the general open public areas, but I think cities are starting to crack down on that a little bit now. New Jersey is an unusual place where, you know, we're known for an attitude. And a lot of people tell us we need an attitude adjustment quite often. But when the shit hits the wall in Jersey, people do tend to get together and respect one another. Certainly in the retail establishments, people are respecting each other's space, which is cool. But we got a lot of people, man. We got the most people per square mile anywhere. So it's tough. It's real tough. And
yeah, your news looks a little crazy, that's for sure. You know, so you know, I don't, you know, they say that New York's gonna be the worst this week, and I don't know. So all right, so originally this was all about you know, talking to you guys about racing, and you know, we would definitely want to, if this pulls off, we're going to try to see if we can go Facebook Live next time, or YouTube, you know, live, or we'll do something. But I want to give you a shout out for you guys making it here. So I really appreciate the effort. And it would mostly be really the 3 most untechnologically advanced people make it. So I'm definitely giving you a shout out for that. So, all right, Billy. So let's talk about Key West. Didn't quite end the way you'd hoped. Don't know where you really stand right now with your boat, but why don't you tell me about your boat? How is your boat doing, or where are you at with that?
It's doing real well. We got it back, I believe, 2 weeks ago on Friday. I got back here from Florida, and we did everything that we could possibly do. And then I took it down to Performance Boat Center, and Andy Sanders and Myrick and them are finishing it up. So I talked to Andy about 15 minutes ago. I think it's getting ready to go back to paint. They had to do some fiberglass work on the back that never got correctly finished at Doug Wright, and they got it going, and hopefully get the power heads on and go from there, you know. So yeah, it's looking better than it was. So.
When you saw your boat, you know, I mean, obviously you looked at it for the next week while you're in Key West and however long, but did it end up being worse than you thought after you sort of got into it, or not?
I'm new to the boats, you know. I don't know a whole lot about it. If it was a race car, we'd already been building a new car back at home, you know. So, you know, yeah, I guess it was bad. Kind of got, you know, I got it down there, I think the week after Key West, or 2 weeks that we de-rigged it that week when we got home, and got it back down there immediately. And he thought I'd have it done after Christmas. Got behind a little bit of schedule. So we got it back here, and you know, we got to put it back together, and those guys do their thing down there, and then hopefully we can do some testing and go from there, you know. So
right. Would you mind sort of walking me through that whole incident in Key West when, you know, you're side by side and you're rolling into a headwind and things were going to be pretty good? It was going to be a good run to the pin. And then can you just sort of tell me what happened? And
yeah, I mean, we had a really good piece. We really, really did. We got washed down early. Nick got washed down early. I think Myrick and Rusty and them guys got a good run. We got washed down again. Same way with Nick. Once Nick got broke past a couple of them, and we hooked up with Nick and just took off, and we was coming. Got up, you know, we ran up at that pin right out in front of y'all on the mole there, and we was real tight to that. And we was tight next to Lauren and Mike, and right about the opening, the pit opening, you know, we hit real hard, door to door, or I guess gun wall to gun wall, or whatever you call it. Hit hard, and when we did, we took off. You know, so basically that's basically what happened. You know, so.
Did the moment going vertical and upside down, did it seem very fast or very slow, or do you even remember what happened just because?
Yeah, I remember. If I can tell you exactly the whole thing, you know, I mean, I was close to being knocked out. Both Larry and I have both been knocked out in the race cars, and we talked about it the other day, and I was like, was that a hard hit to you, you know? And we've talked about this a million times. Absolutely. Was it the hardest hit we ever had? Absolutely not. I've ended up in 2 MRI machines in 2 different towns from the cars, you know, not knowing where you're at. It was the water that came in was the worst part of the whole thing, you know. Was we close to drowning? Yes. You know, was it scary looking back? Yeah, it was. If I would have panicked, would I be here talking to y'all? No. Did I about panic? Yeah.
Right.
You know, there's just many, many questions you can go through and answers, and you look back and you try to build off of the accident itself and the safety features and stuff. And I think we got a game plan, you know, going ahead that, you know, I think it'll be a lot better. So.
Right. Larry, nod your head if you can hear us.
Do you hear me?
Oh,
hear me
yeah.
now?
Larry,
Okay, good.
I'm giving you a hell of a shout out. See what happens, Larry, when people don't help you? You really got to focus and you just got to make it happen, right?
I got to focus hard, and I finally figured it out.
Good. Well, Larry, what's going on in Key West, man? I sent you a video of you know, NBC or CBS News the other afternoon, and it took a shot all the way down Duval Street, all the way down to the end by where that train is, and right at the end of Duval.
Right.
Not one person walking. I mean, it
Nothing.
looks unbelievably horrible.
It is totally dead in town. They've closed the keys where the only people that can come in are residents and show your ID and all that to get through, or they're turning cars away. It's the grocery stores are open, which are kind of scary that there's so many people in there at one time. I've just now started using a handkerchief over because I can't get any protection. So we're using handkerchiefs over our mouths when we go in the grocery stores. I think we're up to I think 35 or 40 cases in the Keys. 2 people have died in the Keys. It's been, the people that have died have had underlying circumstances like we've been hearing. As far as the town itself, what it feels like is when we get ready for a hurricane and everybody, non-essentials, leave, and everybody, the essential people, are here boarding up, getting everything ready, and then we sort of wait. Well, it's like we've gotten prepared and we're waiting, but we don't know when the end of the wait is,
Right.
Which is different. At least a hurricane, we know when it's going to get there, and you're going to have damage. You know, you got a finite time to repair, but this one you don't know. I can say, and we did it also, a lot of locals are going out on their boats and running around. We went out yesterday, and they put a rule of 50 feet, you know, away from other boats and all that stuff. I think right now it's only been a few weeks that it's been really bad, and people are playing like it's vacation. And I think it's going to change, you know, drastically here real soon. Businesses are basically all shut up. A lot of them tried to do takeout orders, the restaurants, but it just didn't work. So they haven't done it. And thus the grocery stores are so busy.
Right. Well, here
the countywide hotels, they said last year at this time there was 98% occupancy, and right now I think there's 6%, which is people probably, yeah. So,
oh man,
it's the tourism industry here is gone. So we need this over with so we can
right,
get the races back in town and
right,
make this thing jumpstart it.
right. Well, you guys, I don't know if you, I mean, I think you probably all three of you subscribe to the RWO newsletter, and I'm sure you all saw the fact that we're going back to Orange Beach in April. So that was a little mistake on our part. So Larry's like, man, people are calling me. What are we doing in April? I'm like, oh, dude. So we had been working on that for 2 months and left it in there on, once we started talking about Dunkirk. So yeah, it's a little minor football. So I take responsibility for that. But we did have a conference call with the mayor and those guys, and they're like, hey, let's put everything in order to see if we can make this thing happen, barring that the doors are open and we're allowed to do it. So, with the permitting and the town, getting involved and everything, the fire chief, police chief, all those people are on the call. So, they still want to have it. So, and we do too, but we just have to sit and wait. So sitting and waiting does mean that we're still doing our paperwork and trying to go through. So who knows what's going to happen, man? I mean, it's only the first week of April, but this could last so long. So we just don't have any idea of what to expect. So, all right. So as I said before, this was about racing and trying to get, help build our fan base and sort of give fans and people sort of a visual of now with the use of Zoom, even though we had been using it before a little bit. Now it's everyday stuff. So if you have a cat walk across your desk, that's okay, or the kids are screaming or whatever it is, it's the new norm. But I don't know if you guys remember that, like on CNBC, like a year ago, that nanny comes sliding around the corner to pick up the kid, and take him out because it was like a professional. Well, that's all legit now. So, anything goes. But okay, Tyler, coming to you. So what's it like, trying to find the green flag in a boat in front of you that's off to your right or to your left, and you see the pace boat pulling out and everyone's getting jacked up. I mean, how crazy is it, or how calming, or what's it like when everyone's supposed to be in a straight line going this way, but it probably looks like they're converging? I mean, what's that part of the race like?
Yeah, sure. So for me, it is very nerve-wracking. Probably the worst time for me is in the milling circle. I get to hyperventilating. I puked in the boat 2 or 3 times. I mean, it's rough for me. Once we come out of the milling circle, you're pretty focused. You have your driver that's watching, your throttleman's watching. Everybody's watching at that point. Boat's beside you, looking for the green flag. It is tough to see, depending on your pole position. Obviously, if you're right beside the boat, that typically means you're to the outside and you can see what's going on. But if you're inside, especially at Key West, it's brutal. We've tried to instill to stay back 100 feet. That works from time to time, but not always. You're hypertensive. You're wanting to get rolling. Once the green flag drops, though, pretty much all my nerves go away. I'm just focused on my job, focused on staying safe and getting to the pin first, which doesn't happen for us very often, but we sure try. But no, it's the milling circle is probably the worst for me by far.
Wow.
Once we come out of the milling circle, you focus on different things other than being nervous, getting the race started, getting your spot, So looking for the green flag it's definitely an issue, but not near as much as the milling circle is for me.
So like in that milling circle, like, are you always looking over your shoulder to see what the pace boat's doing, or do you just feel like I'll make it around? Because I always tell people, pay attention.
Always looking, and always trying to, don't want to give away anything to Myrick here, but and the rest of everybody. But I'm always looking. I'm always making the driver look, and the big thing is you don't want to be caught in the wrong position. You don't want to be just starting to make your mill again and then have to go all the way through a circle. Because if you have to go all the way through the circle, by the time you come out of the mill circle, it's a mess. It's hard to get your position. The boats are side by side, and you need to be in between them. You're worried about getting washed down before you even get on plane. So,
Right.
Yeah, it's very tough. Very, very, very tough.
Mark, all right, let's go to you. Where are your feelings at? I mean, you've come a long way in your racing career, head mechanic, crew chief, and
Milling's definitely I'm with Tyler totally. The most stressful part of the whole race. And it's stressful too if you're in the back and you're just wondering what you got to do to to get up front. It's frustrating at that point. But yeah, I mean, I've heard Tyler describe it before. It's just like when you played football. You're nervous as can be. You run down the field, you pop each other, and then all the nerves are gone, and you just concentrate on what you're doing. So that's what it is for me. I mean, everybody asks, like, what do you guys talk about in the boat? When I'm with Johnny, it's like, go, go, go. I mean, that's all I say. You know,
Right.
like, never slow down, never easy, easy, easy. Just go. It's basically the only thing that's said. Every once in a while, Johnny will get into a story or whatever. But,
When things are on autopilot or what?
yeah, if you're out front, you can talk about stuff. But no, there's been times where he was like, it's reliving old, like, hey, I remember screwing up here 20 years ago. Let's not do that. You know.
Right. Oh, I interviewed him the other day, sort of business related, unrelated to this. And I'm like, well, Johnny, you remember everything. He's like, oh, no, I don't. It's just those certain moments in time. I'm like, you mean the last 40 years? You know,
Yeah.
every moment. So,
yeah, he's got memory, that's for sure.
all right. So let's just keep going around. Billy, what about, you've successfully made it out of the milling circle. Milling circle's not a problem for you because you used to have, open cockpit, right? So you could hurl out the side if you needed to. But what happens when you're all the way down the stretch and you're at the first turn? I mean, is there like concern, or you just figure out where you are in your position, or are you trying to be on the left or the right or at the pin, or what's going through your head? I mean, again, you've had a great new boat and you've really had a great career. So, I mean, what's it like for you now in stock boat?
Well, our boat's way better than the two people in it, I'll tell you that. But usually we get to the pin all right. It's usually we screw up the first 2 or 3 pins, get shuffled back. So I'm not a pro at this by any means, but just do the best.
Sarasota, you were. There was no getting around you.
Well, I got like, every dog's got his day, and that happened to be this dog's day. But no, that we just try to keep do the best we can do and learn from some of the guys, and Rusty and Myrick, those guys got a million hours tested on that boat. So if you can get behind them guys, instead of trying to get by them, run with them for a while and learn what they're doing. Same way with Nick and Gary and all them guys, Ryan Beckley, them guys have been doing it for a long, long time. So we just gotta learn what them guys do, and take off what they do, and maybe take a run a little bit later in a race. It's tough. You get out there by yourself, and it's great to be in clean air or clean water, I guess they call it. But sometimes it's better to be to run second or third there for a while, and then to make a charge late in the race. So figure it out. I mean, Sarasota, like he says, we had a good, real good boat a couple years ago, and got by Nick, and then broke a swivel bracket. Anders said, hey, we're real good out on this section of the course, They said, let's take a shot at them there, and we did, and we got by them, but, the boat failed a little bit, and we ended up second. So, honestly, with Larry in the boat, we had the same, we set up the boat the same way we did before, and we had a good run going, and kind of followed them guys for a while, and then did the best we could do, so happened to be our day that day. So.
Well, what's it like? I've asked this to a couple of people. What's it like? And again, testing helps with a lot, but what's it like sort of being the first time in that kind of boat, which has been 1 year or 2 years now? I'm not sure. And what's it like making to the first pin and knowing, hey man, I am way off. I'm going too slow just because I want to make it around safely, or I need to stay in the throttle, and wow, what's this going to turn out to be like? I mean, was there ever that feeling at all?
Yeah, we struggled on our starts. When we got a little bit better last year, we talked to Andy and kind of got some height fits figured out and worked with some propellers, and we got a little bit better. But our starts are horrible, So hopefully we can get something put together there and get it better. But usually we're shuffled back. We usually don't make it to the pin very good on the first leg anyway, and then have to play catch up after that. But I don't know. These guys run 7 laps or whatever. In our dirt cars, we run 50 to 100 lap races. So Larry ran a little bit shorter races with sprint cars. I think he run 25 to 30 laps is all they ran. But in our cars, we run 50 to 100 laps. So you didn't want to get out there and charge to the front real soon, and show your cards or make a mistake or whatnot, you know. And
Right.
I'd love to lead a lot of them from the green to the checker, but we don't get it done.
Do you go, I mean, is it as simple as going back and looking at the live stream and seeing where you ended up and where the flag is? And, you know, any of that related to, did you prop right, or did you come out of the, you know, turn a second and a half slower than somebody else? I mean, a couple seconds here and there surely add up.
I don't know on that. I mean, Meyer can tell you better than that, but it seems like in the first 600 yards, you know if you're propped right or not. And obviously, Casey and Rob got something figured out with their propellers, and those guys check out instantly. So,
Nick also.
yeah, and Nick also, yeah. So it's tough, you know. And I know I'm working with Myrick, and we're trying to, you know, work with each other a little bit and try to get this thing figured out so we can at least be on the, you know, in the same air, you know.
Right.
It's just tough as
Well,
we're checking out.
stupid question then. If both of you guys were next to each other in testing at the lake, and you both said, okay, let's hit it, do you know exactly where you both end up, meaning you're slower or you're not as slow as Myrick? Or can it be as simple as that to see how quickly you accelerate, or in the same condition?
It's never really side-by-side testing, but I'll tell him, hey, with this prop, I can see this speed, and our acceleration times from 60 to 100 are this, just so we know. And he'll tell me the same back, and that way, you know, we can only compare each other. So hopefully one of us is fast, because otherwise we go out there and then everybody leave you. So
Right.
It's funny in the little boat how much different it is than the big boat. I mean, I think it's pretty cool to the fact that instead of talking about half inches, you're talking 1/16 of an inch in drive height. And so, like, you know, in like 3 inch to 2.5 inch in the Super Cat, and the little boat we're like 1 3/4 to 2 1/16. So depending on conditions. So it's crazy. Even from the weight perspective, people might think it's funny, but you move 25 pounds in that boat, I'll tell you an area that it's close to. I won't be able to tell you exactly what bulkhead. But it's like, hey, you got the weight forward of me. I can feel it up there. And it's especially when you like pull out of the throttle, you'll feel the boat go on its nose. Or when you trim it, it doesn't react as much. And the big boat, I wouldn't be able to do that. I'd be able to tell if the boat were airborne, that, you know, where the weight is, but I wouldn't be able to tell you where the weight is just, you know, going down the water because the way the boat enters the water or whatever.
Right. And I mean, is there a big difference of where you place your weight for any three of you? Like in Key West, where it's almost like two different race courses. I mean,
yeah, Key West is different. I mean, and the more I've learned over the years, you don't even worry about the outside. Don't even think about that between 1 and 2, because it isn't enough of the course to make a difference there. Because I've heard numbers of like Broadco's numbers in the Super Cat this year when they were so fast. You know, and it was kind of rough out on the outside. They were seeing like upper 130s coming in, and I didn't see over 129 the whole race, you know. So it's like one of those things you're like, man, you know, our boat was that far off, and it felt like we were competing, but in reality we weren't.
What about you, Tyler, when you get frustrated that your setup's not right, like in Key West, or, you know, you think you're there and you're not?
He just reaches over and smacks Tyson.
There you go. No wonder he's hurting. You know?
Well, honestly, like Lake Race and like some of the things in Key West, you know, I will just radio into Lindsay and I'll say, go ahead and get the Tito's and club soda and a lime ready about lap 2, and we just know where we're at, and that's just honest, you know.
Right.
So,
yeah.
So the last 3 years we ran the heaviest and biggest boat in the class, and so, you know, year 1, it was great. It was a great boat to learn in. It was a great, very forgiving boat, big water, flat. It didn't matter. It would turn good. It would get through the big water. But, you know, as you continue to progress, especially in the Super Cat class, you either got to constantly be changing your game to stay up with everybody, or you are just completely left in the dirt. So for us, you know, if we didn't come out of the gate and see rough water the entire course at Key West, we pretty much knew that we're in trouble. Somebody's going to be faster. We would always hope to be at turn one with everybody, but that still didn't happen very often. You know, and you can look back to the Clearwater race this past year. Same thing, flat water, and you know we're competing against 3 or 4 or 5 other boats that are good, fast, flat water boats. So we knew coming out of the gate that we were going to be in trouble. But you know, like Billy said, you know, in the first 600-700 feet, okay, I've got something here, or it's going to be a long day.
Right.
And so what we've always tried to do, once we get to that point, you know, it's a race to the checkered flag. So anything can happen. You know, guys can spin out, guys can break. You know, there's lots of different things that can get you there. But as a true racer, you want to beat the guy in a race. You don't want to beat him by, you know, a breakdown or you know, a spin out is one thing. That means everybody's racing hard.
Right.
But you really want to just line up and go get it done. And,
Right.
And so yeah, you know right away that you're either going to be in the game or you're not. And when you're in the game, or at least you feel like you are, it's a lot of fun. When you know right away you're out of the game, we always just try to collect as much data as we can, be smart, you know, keep the boat right side up, if you will, and just keep getting it done.
Let's talk about somebody that was invited to the Zoom call, but he's not here. So let's talk about him. So for you, Myrick and Tyler, what's it like? What do you guys learn from Jay and Billy? I mean, you know, they have been together a long time. And I don't know if you guys watched. Did you guys watch that Mega Machine that came out illegally? That thing?
Yeah. All I heard the whole time is how much of a lunatic MCON guys are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
No.
And again,
no,
when
I
you got
mean,
the biggest boat. You got the biggest boat. You could be a lunatic.
But for you two, and I'm just gonna say, you know, Billy tends to get out. You know, if he's propped right, he's gonna jump out there and make it. He's not gonna jump the start. He's just gonna jump out there and make it good. But for over the years, you know, Myrick, how long have you been in a Super Cat now?
4 or 5 years now as the driver.
And you've watched him forever, you know. So what's one thing that you've watched them and learned from? I mean, good or bad?
It's crazy that a big boat can do that well in calm water. And you know, it's made me learn a lot, or made me think about, you know, the way that the tunnel of a catamaran works more. Because when that boat's sitting beside our old 388, it's a foot taller sitting there in the water. And when you think about the back of the boat, it's in theory the same size. So compression ratio versus, you know, the same weight of boat. And when you're side by side with them at a start and you watch them pull on you a little bit, and then, you know, you might start making it up on them on the big end, it's weird. And I've heard Johnny say it a million times, there goes Billy, you know. And then the thing is, if we get a section of the course like West where it can bump up a little bit, you can catch him. Or I think that, you know, his boat does turn really well, but there's times you can get under him. You know, and it's not because they're sleeping, it's just because there are boats that turn a little bit better. I know Billy would argue that, but
right.
You know,
he's not here.
Anyway.
Right. Tyler, what about you? I mean, he's a great racer. What can you say that you've learned to do or not to do from either?
Yeah, so I guess short story, we were fortunate enough to buy our first boat from Billy. He was a tremendous amount of help. He involved Ray during the purchase, after the purchase. He involved Jay. They helped us, you know, try to get things set up and just give us a comfort feeling that, you know, what the boat would do. You know, so that helped a lot leading up to our first race and even the first year. And they continue to help us at every race. If I have any questions, Billy's always spot on. Hey, you need to borrow a prop, you need weight, whatever you need, they're there to help. So that part of it has been phenomenal. As far as racing is concerned, I know I can look back and say the first race we ever ran was the race he took the buoy out in Cocoa Beach. And I'm sure you've all seen pictures and remember that race. But we had a chance, as my cousin and I, we had a chance to actually go around him. And we were so nervous that was a 40-year veteran and he'd been at this for so long. We're like, let's just kind of stay back here and just see how this all works out, you know. But then as things went along, I mean, one of the pictures on the wall here in my office is the time that we did get by him in Sarasota, and we got by him on the inside. So like Myrick's saying, there is times when you can get by on the inside, but just to race with them and watch the lines they take, to watch what they do, how consistent they are, it's pretty amazing. Those guys have been together a long time, and it's a super fast boat, and they've been in it long enough now that they know when they make a mistake, they know where they can make up ground and come right back at you. So they're always charging, very good for the sport, and a lot of fun to race against.
That's great. Billy, I had a question for you, but I think Lee, you might even have a question or two.
Well, I was going to ask Billy, you know, some of the longer races in offshore kind of epitomize what offshore used to be. And I'm curious what your thoughts are on perhaps making courses longer, say 11 miles, you know, for at least one lap or 2 laps. What are your thoughts on longer courses?
I'm really into the fan base myself. I haven't been around this very long. I'll probably get, you know, my head cut off for even answering the question, but I really like the, what if you want to call it stadium racing. You hear the criticism about these are not offshore races. They're racing too short of tracks and whatnot, you know. But just for instance, some of the people that have been around my race cars for a long, long time, they come and watch, like, for instance, Michigan City. They're not really used to having binoculars. You know, you tell them, hey, you want to watch, you know, with binoculars and you can see. And then you explain to them that sometimes back in the day, before my time, obviously, they would go clear out and you wouldn't see them for 15, 20 minutes. I might be exaggerating or too short on that time. And then they come blowing back by you. Their thoughts are then they don't want to see that. That wouldn't be no fun to them. So I really like the close racing, you know. I like the top end. I really like the rough races ourselves, you know. I'm not much into the lake race, which is pretty much our home track, but I'm not much for the lake race. But yeah, I like the bigger rough water, where the fans can see you pretty much the whole way around. I get a charge out of watching the Super Cats at Key West. I mean, I make sure that I get up there with binoculars and I have the race radio so I can listen to race control. And I dig it. I think it's cool, especially when they get out past we call it the shrimp and bow way out there, and they come down the back chute, you know, and it's real rough and they're airing it out. I think it's cool to watch that, you know, and I really think the fans want to see their boats. But, you know, like I say, I'll probably get my head chopped off by the old timers that want to go out and race 10 miles from the shore, you know. I don't know. So.
Sure. Well, thank you. I wanted to modify the question for Tyler and Myrick. So what would you think of a one lap where it went out along the airport side of the island down at Key West? We were bouncing that idea around, and it takes a lot of logistics, but there'd just be one lap that would go, and it would add about 4 miles to just one lap. What do you think, Tyler?
Do you get to choose when you do that long lap, or is it just
right? And that is the school of thought. You can do it whenever you want.
I've heard I've watched them do it in XCAT, and I think when you have a field of boats, like say you get 15, I don't think it's a bad idea, because, you know, when you have so many boats, you need some time that you can get some separation. Otherwise, the single file line, because it's so hard to pass in boat racing. So when it comes to that, I don't think it's a bad idea. You know, it would hurt the spectators, but they would be pretty exciting for when that boat came back, who's actually leading. You know, it feels like when you're racing against Billy Moff that he pushes you up there by the airport coming in to the around turn 2. But I don't think it's a bad idea, but I wish the races were longer. Not necessarily longer tracks, just instead of it being, I can remember when we wouldn't race a race that was under 100 miles. I mean, you know, I remember even in the Unlimiteds, we would do that, and it was like a battle of attrition keeping them running. And for example, Pro Floors this year, like there's multiple races where they limped in on the final lap of, you know, like what were they, 50 miler, and you know, they would have been done if it would have, been an 80-mile race or, a 100-mile race.
Right.
There is something to be said about keeping your equipment together, and when guys just luck into it, it kind of sucks for the guys that, would have stayed running. So
That happens a lot.
What do you think, Tyler?
Yeah, so I agree to an extent there. I would love to see the race longer for sure. I think as far as running over by the airport, I think it's a great idea. And my thought process would be that's for fields that have, say 9 to 10 boats and up. And you get everybody stacked in turn one, and I realize it's very exhilarating to watch. It's very it's what the fans look for. It's what the photographers are all sitting there looking for. But as a guy sitting in the seat, it's a little dicey, and that's part of racing. I get it, but at the same time, I feel like if you got more than 9 or 10 boats, and say you got the stock class now, it's going to have 20 boats. Pick your cards, pick your pole position, send that first 10 on the outside, send them on out to the airport. Let that first group take turn one, and by the time you come around for the second lap, make that first group of 10, make them go to the airport. And that kind of gets you in turn one, where jamming 20 boats in there it's going to be spectacular to say the least, and could be a watered up mess from time to time too. So I think if you send them on out to shoot, those outside 10, but everybody gets a chance to go out, whether that's say maybe it's the third lap that the first group of 10 goes out that way. I think that, but then you're going to need to make the laps, say 15 laps instead of 9 or 10 or 7 or whatever the number is. So that way everybody gets time to catch back up, and the fans get a chance to see everything that's going on. But I think they could be a little longer for sure. But I think the main reason that you would go on around that way would just be to break big groups of boats up. I don't feel like that if there's a class of 4 or 5 boats that you would want to send them out that way, away from the spectators and the fans and everything else. I think you'd want to. But that way, if you split them apart, the fans would always have a fair amount of boats in front of them. It wouldn't just be like everybody's gone. Where did they all go? But yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Awesome.
Billy, what do you think, Billy?
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea. I like I say, I don't know that I'd want to race like the old time where they race out to sea. First of all, I don't know how to run a GPS, obviously. And second of all, I can't calculate fuel, as you know. So we'd run a race. So. But yeah,
okay, we check out the things you don't do well. Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, no, they're gonna have to do something like them guys say. If you put 18, 19, 20 boats in a corner, there's gonna be some stuff tore up, probably some people hurt. It ain't a good deal, but splitting them up for a lap or two, that's awesome. They're gonna have to do something, obviously, and then let them come back and race. The latter part of the race.
Right. That's good.
I was curious. What do you guys feel about mixing left and right hand turns up in a race?
doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
You mean as left and right, as far as dog leg or coming across the track and switching some things up? What do you?
That's correct. Because if we did a leg out in front of the airport and back, that would be both left and right hand turns then. In one. Doesn't matter.
No problem.
Let's do a little education. So to make this valuable for other people, and between the three of you, you three are probably the best at this, or your teams are, or your owners are, and that's marketing and putting something on for the fan base. And I'm not going to necessarily pick one, Billy, but to say that you do a great job of bringing in fans, family, and people. And if I saw you mowing your yard in Key West around your trailer, I'd be telling the truth. All right. And so you do a good job of having a team of PR people and marketing people and trying to do the best you can to secure sponsorship and promote your team and promote the value of the sponsor to wherever you're promoting to. And so what would you say to other teams would be a couple of things that they should try to do? Either one, get a sponsor, or two, make sure they show value to their sponsor.
I'm not real good at the social media stuff. Everybody says you did this, you did that. I don't do anything. I ain't gonna lie to you. I don't know how to do any of that stuff. My brother does a really, really good job with social media and posting stuff. They want to know. I mean, I get numerous calls. Where's the boat? How's the boat? You know, how far along is the boat? You know, and so Kenny, my brother, Alan, he does a really nice job there. Doug with the Adventure Collector, that was probably the best move we ever made. We have him come to all the races with us. He's out of Illinois, and he comes to all the races and does all the videos and the clips and stuff like that. Brian, that owns Car Sound Stereo Systems here in Des Moines, he does all of our electronic stuff and all of our GoPros and the downloads, the stuff like that. So people can, you know, at the parades and stuff, they can see what went on the boat that day, or, you know, in testing or whatnot, you know, and people, they're inquisitive on what do you talk about? Just like you guys have been asked, what do you talk about? What's it look like in the cockpit? It's that. That's, if you can get that stuff out and talk to the people. I've always been a dirt track person, you know, and it's just totally different. People are very intimidated by the big semis, the big boats, that kind of stuff. The dirt car people, we still have a group that used to watch our dirt cars back in the day. There's about 10 of them. They base their vacations around my late model car. That's how they spent their summers, is when we go to a traveling race. I finally talked them in. I didn't know how to introduce them to it. I finally talked them into coming to Michigan City. They were devastated when I quit racing the cars. So they come to Michigan City. Still to this day, they come to Michigan City and they stand down at the far end on the pier, and they won't come around the truck and trailers. They just won't do it. They carpool over there. They don't have a whole lot of money, but they watch it all on social media. You know, it's a big deal to them. It's a great deal. They still buy the T-shirts, buy the hats. They, you know, follow the boat just as it was the dirt car. They can't go to as many races. Obviously, they can't afford it, but they can watch it on social media. So if you got, you know, that's what I tell them guys, the P4 boats and stuff in our area, not saying you're going to hit a $10,000 sponsorship, but it don't hurt to go talk to one of your auto suppliers and get oil and filters and spark plugs and stuff like that. You know, people are very inquisitive about this boat racing. I think it's a cool deal. It is, it's a very, very neat deal. It's family oriented. Everybody has a good time. The parades are, you know, people just love the parades. You know, it's just a cool deal. So as far as when they, you know, say something about getting sponsors, it's hard to do. The first thing I do is, have you asked anybody? Have you talked to anybody? Don't ask for, you know, $100,000. Maybe just talk to them and have them come to the races and have a beer and a hot dog after it's over. Next thing you know, you might have a fan for life. Next thing you might start out with a case of oil and it could end up $5,000. Who knows, you know? But you know, you got to get them involved in this boat racing deal. It's cool as cool. I love it, you know, so it's a neat deal. So.
Thanks, Bill. I think that's fantastic, because that's definitely using some outside resources, you know, photographers, videographers, whatever they are, to generate content for you, to push it out for people that follow you and for your sponsors. So that's definitely super solid. Myrick, you're a little bit more of a brand, you know, Performance Boat Center. They have lots of customers, and, you know, you guys, you know, have a pretty big footprint when you go to the race sites with things. I don't want to give you all the words. So what would be your words of you know, how people can sort of, you know, try to procure a sponsor, or what they can do, or things that you do that really make it relevant to, because a lot of people are watching, you know, your brand and your team and everybody in the boat.
Well, we're fortunate enough to have traffic in our business. And for example, that's the way that Auto Alert sponsorship came about, was through a boat sitting there, the stock boat sitting there with no decals on it, and we're going racing, and he goes, well, who's your sponsor? And we're like, we don't have one. And the guy goes, I'll do it. You know, it's just, and that's how we're lucky with that. And then, you know, a lot of our customers are wealthy individuals that, you know, think that it would be cool to have their name on the side of something, or do it in other fashions. But as far as getting a sponsor, I mean, my opinion is try to look as professional as you can. Try to always be in your uniforms. Try to have your equipment clean, and you know, I learned that through Dave Scott and Roderick. You know, you were around. I mean, we're armor on the treads of the tires on the trucks and stuff like that. And I mean, we had a guy at the races, Mike, that was, we call him the rig master, and his job was to clean all the time. So that was a huge help for me to see how it worked for all those years with Anheuser-Busch. But yeah, it's basically, you know, the fan base is awesome, and it's so neat that people get excited about something that we do for fun. And it blows my mind when we go to a race and I use Michigan City a lot for an example, but when you go there and you've been there for multiple years and somebody will come up and they have your shirt on from last year and your signature's on it or something, and you know, you might think it's corny yourself, like somebody wanted your signature, but to them it's a big deal. So it gives you relevance and makes it fun. I mean, it's neat when, especially I'm a transplant, so when I go back to my hometown, it's almost like celebrity. And when it's to me, it's just boat racing, you know. So it's neat through all the fans and the sponsors and things like that. I mean, I love it.
Right. Well, you hit on one thing. I'm going to go to you, Tyler, because you talked about someone's, you know, your T-shirt from 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, and it's amazing to see so much merchandise from so long ago. But for you, Tyler, you know, you guys do a lot of merchandising and you do a lot of things. So I don't want to give you the word. So you take it away a little bit.
Yeah, so that's our big thing. Is we were a new team coming into this a couple years ago, so we'd sat down and we'd talked about, you know, kind of some logistical stuff to do to gain traction, to be able to pick up a sponsor. And one of the things we had talked about was, you know, how do we promote? How do we get our name out there? How do we let people know who we are and what we're about? And so the first year, I think we collectively scrounged up about 50 T-shirts, and we're just going to hand these out to whoever comes by. No big deal. Well, we had no clue what we were getting ourselves into, because in the first 10 minutes they were gone, which is great. I mean, it's traction. There's people walking by. They love to see the boats. And one of the things that we've continued to strive for is keep it family oriented. So, you know, there's so many of these people that come to the race sites that are families, and there's no stupid question. Every question they ask, you know, hey, first thing, how fast does it go? You know, and you know, I'd like to say 150, but
right,
no, it's just 125, 130. You know, but and then we've always tried to incorporate the children into it as well. You know, let them come up on the boat, let them look at things, talk to them. Provide handouts, just small trinket stuff, but it's still stuff that gets the name out there, and really try to push that as a brand up front. And then you know, like Myrick said, they've got a lot of traffic where they're at, where the only traffic we see is at the race. So the girls took that a step further, and again, I'm like Billy, I'm not a social media guy at all, but that's the world now. So the girls took it and ran with it, and so they try to continuously blast things on social media, and it's really brought sight to what's going on. We've had a few sponsors reach out, but again, you know, I'm just that guy that I want to be able to perform when it happens. So when the right sponsor comes along, I want to make sure that the boat's good, that everything we're putting together is good, and we're going to put together a package to be worthy of a sponsorship. I don't want to take any money and go out and be last every time. So I'm always trying to better the program and continue making it family oriented, fun, enjoyable, and you know, like another thing that Myrick touched on is wear your jerseys, be professional, you know, look the part, always keep your area clean, and definitely the equipment, you know, that does go a long ways. But anytime somebody comes around, whether it's to the tent, to the boat, to the T-shirt, to the merchandise trailer, anything like that, I always try to stop, say hi, thank them for being around, because you never know when that might not be the next big sponsor standing there, just seeing how people react. So that's something I've always tried to stay true to. And, you know, the publicity that you guys, Larry and Roderick, the stuff that you guys put out, the information you guys put out to people, it goes a long way. I mean, some of these people wouldn't see it if it wasn't for you guys. So that helps a bunch. The social media, the live streaming when people can't be there, it goes a long ways. And then, you know, the races that we can get TV to, that's some of the feedback I've got is you know, some of the races that they have seen on TV. That's really where the decent sized sponsors start start looking and talking. And you know, we're up for that. Just like Billy said, you know, if you can get a case of oil, if you can get just anything helps. And it shows that people are wanting to be involved, and that helps. Anytime you can keep people involved, it's a big deal. So.
All right. Thanks, Tyler. That's awesome. Well, you know, it's been an hour now, guys. You know, I could keep doing it. It's a blast. I really appreciate that. And I saw that face. So, you know, we can have 25 people on here, and hopefully you guys will come back, you know, if I can get some of these other guys, because it's a little bit, you know, as enjoyable or more enjoyable when you guys are sort of going back and forth, because you guys have a lot of similar stories, and I'm sure you guys could talk a lot of shit about each other too if you wanted to, but we're going to try not to do that. So this wasn't meant to be completely one-sided, so you guys are welcome to ask questions. I actually have the mute button here in my hand ready to go, but you know, we just appreciate you guys joining us. Larry, you want to sign off or say something to these characters, or?
Can you hear me now? Okay, good.
I've unmuted you.
Okay. Wait till this jet goes over. We've been having planes come in with 1 and 2 passengers. So anyway, I just want to thank everyone, all of you guys, for coming on. And we just want to put something out. You know, we know that it's the dead time and what's happening, what's going on in the world, and just let some people listen to you guys. You guys are the ones that make this whole sport happen. And I just want to thank you all very much for doing this for us.
And we appreciate it very much.
Yep.
Yes.
Thank you guys very much. All right, let's sign out, and I'll send you guys a mass text. Hopefully we can do it again. And for those that are not challenged by technology, maybe they can come on. So you can do it, obviously. So, Billy, Myrick, Tyler, thanks, man. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you, guys.
Guys,
Appreciate
thank you
you.
very much, man.
Stay healthy.
Thank you.
Yep. Bye.